Hello, this is Amanda Kingswell, your Teen Services Librarian from the Jennings County Public Library, coming to you from her home still because we're still under that stay-at-home order. So I hope many of you are staying home, staying safe, and staying healthy while you're at home. Why not take this time to read like I've been doing on top of doing work for the library and taking care of a child. So my son, if you hear loudness in the background, that's him roaming around and playing. Today I'm going to come to you and talk to you about the She Read What list that I've been reading while we've been in lockdown. Most of the books that I read are YA, but I do recommend them for adults because some of them are really, really good, and I just have to pass it on for somebody. The first one I'm going to talk about, I do not have the actual physical copy of the book, but I did go on our Overdrive and /Libby app, and I was able to download it, which if you want to use the Overdrive and Libby app and you're not sure how, all you need is your library card number. That's that number below the barcode, and then the 4-digit PIN number, which is supposed to be the last 4 digits of your phone number. Now, if that is not the case for some reason, all you have to do is email Ed Keller. He's our assistant director at the public library. His email address is ed.keller@jenningslib.org, and just tell him that you're wanting to log on to your Overdrive account and it's not working, and he should be able to look in there and find your PIN number for you and get it all sorted out. So the first book that I want to discuss is from one of my favorite authors. Her name is Mindy McGinnis. She is from Ohio. She is excellent at writing female lead characters. I mean, she's done Female of the Species, and she has done another one I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think it's a Madness So Discreet, and amazing. Could not put them down books. This one that she did that I read recently is called Be Not Far From Me, which you can't really see it very well. That is available on Overdrive as an ebook, and then it's also available on our Hoopla site as an audiobook. So for those who only like ebooks and those that like audiobooks, you have best of both worlds. Be Not Far From Me, it's about a teen girl, and she catches her boyfriend cheating on her, and they're out camping, and she takes off running, and she falls down this cliff, and she wakes up and she's severely injured. I mean, her foot's like hanging off, kind of like part of her foot's hanging off. And she goes through some tough stuff, and you know, normally I'm leery of those kinds of things because normally you get like that main lead character girl that's like whining every so often, but she does not whine. She gets through it. I mean, just the stuff that she goes through, I'm sitting here like, I don't even think I could do it. So I recommend it. You keep reading to figure out if she's going to survive all this because horrible things happen to her. So definitely recommend that if you like action adventure, if you want a good book that you're not going to put down, you're going to want to see, is she going to make it? Read it. It's amazing. And I recommend reading all the other books that Mindy McGinnis has written because she is just amazing when it comes to her writing. Description is amazing, but not over the top. I just can't talk enough about how good her books are. So the next one I'm going to talk about is We Set the Dark on Fire. This book, our main character is Danny. She lives in this island called Medio, and there is a legend that goes with it that about the sun god who found another mistress, and he marries both of them. His brother becomes mad, and he destroys part of the island. And then once we get to modern day, that part that the brother destroyed is where like the lower outcast people live, and there's a border blocking those lower outcasts from coming into the city. Well, because of this legend, there's a school called the Medio School for Girls, and what that does is girls go to this school to become a segunda, which is a very pretty, beautiful woman who is supposed to bear the children for the husband. And then you have the other one who's the primera, who's supposed to be like the backbone for the husband, help him with his, if he has ambitions and goals of wanting to be like president or something. It's her job to help him with that. And so our main character, Danny, she is actually one of those that came from across the border, and her family, wanting a better life for her, sneak her over the border, which is very risky because many people that have tried that in the past had gotten killed. Well, Danny gets to the school. She becomes a primera because all her life, all she's wanted to do is pay back for her parents of what they risked to get her to where she is now. And she gets married to the biggest, most wealthiest bachelor. Like, he was the catch. And she's excited because finally she's going to be able to live the life that her parents wanted for her. But Danny learns slowly but surely that maybe being at the top of the mountain is not where you want to be, because there's a lot of dark things that happen. And she gets offered to help uprise against this power that is oppressing people by a group called Lavaz. And you'll have to find out, read the book and find out if she takes it and how it all plays out for her. This book is available on Overdrive as an ebook and an audiobook. It is also available on Hoopla as an audiobook. The other good thing is there is a sequel called We Unleash the Merciless Storm, and that is available on audiobook on Hoopla. So if you're like me and you can't wait to read the second part, because there's kind of a cliffhanger at the end of it, of course, why wouldn't there be? You definitely would want to go to Hoopla and get that audiobook. So We Set the Dark on Fire, definitely recommend. It is an LGBTQ book as well, so definitely recommend that for teens and adults alike, because it was such a good read that I think I read that in like 2 or 3 days tops. My next book that I have read, which I actually posted on our Facebook page about, is White Rose by Kip Wilson. This book now is a book and verse, so it is a quick read. However, I do say it's a quick read, but you kind of, when you're reading it, you want to go kind of slow so that way you're picking up everything that is being talked about. This book is about a young girl. She's not too young. She's probably about a teen. She's living during the time of when Hitler is starting to take over Germany, and she wants to go to university and live her life. She is not a supporter of Hitler, and she has her sibling, her brother, has gone off into the war to fight, and so she's hearing of these horrible atrocities that are happening during this war. She's hearing from her brother, and then she also has a close friend that's like a sergeant in the war, and he's telling her these things that's going on, and it's making her mad, and she feels like, I have to do something. I have to do something to help with this, to help put a stop to this. And she eventually goes to university with her brother, and her brother actually started a group called White Rose, who make pamphlets about the goings-on of what Hitler's doing. And basically, this is illegal. If they're caught, they're in trouble. They're going to be killed. It's considered treasonous. So they secretly are making these pamphlets to hand out to random people, to the students in the university. And the catcher is do they get caught? Do they help? Does anything that they do make a difference? This book was actually, it's a historical fiction, but the people that are in here are real live people, or were real live people. The reason why it had to be labeled a fiction, and there's some notes in the back from the author if you read it, that explain it had to be labeled a fiction because some of the things that she got, some of the information she got, is hearsay. You can't say that's absolutely true or that's absolutely false. So it had to get labeled a fiction because not everything in there may not all be true. But she did a lot of research on this book. So if you like World War II historical fictions, and you want a quick read, it's something that is just mind-blowingly awesome, I would recommend White Rose by Kip Wilson. This book is available on Overdrive and Libby through ebook. Unfortunately, it is not available on Hoopla. So that's kind of a downer, but you still have it on Overdrive, so definitely check that out. So those are my 3 books that I have gotten through. My next 2 that I'm reading, I have one that I read on my phone when I'm laying down in bed, and then I have my one that I'm reading when I'm up and about during the day. This one is called The Last Two Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. It is available on ebook on Overdrive and audiobook on Hoopla. It is a realistic fiction. This girl's family, let me check out her name real quick. Violet. She has a brother named Sam. He tries to kill himself, and he gets sent off to a rehab or hospital to get himself better. And she gets sent off to Lyric, Maine, which is an important place for her family because that is where her mother's side of the family originated. Her great-great-great-grandmother survived a shipwreck, was the only survivor of the shipwreck, and she, there's my cat again, was the sole survivor of the shipwreck, and she made it to the town, fell in love, got married, and Lyric, Maine became their place. And so Violet goes back to Maine, her parents send her there, and because it's always been a draw for them. And so she's hoping during her time in Maine that she will learn to, love herself and understand, what's going on with her brother, because her and her brother used to be so close and then they just separated. So, realistic fiction. Good book so far. I've only gotten that far, so I can't really give too much detail away. But if you're a realistic fiction person, go for it. The next one I'm reading is called The Stars We Still, which I'm reading that on Overdrive. It kind of reminds me of a spacey Pride and Prejudice because they're on these spaceships and they have different names, and of course it kind of reminded me of We Set the Dark on Fire because there's these other ships that house people that are in poverty, who are dying, who are working for these other wealthy ships, but they're not paid enough to survive. So they have something called the Vogue season, VALG season, which is kind of like a coming out party for girls, and it's a way for them to make matches and couples. So I was getting a big futuristic Pride and Prejudice vibe from it. I'm going to continue reading it and seeing where it goes. Your main character, her name's Leo. She's really not into this whole coming out season thing, and she finds it just not worth her time. But then a love from the past comes back, and she is conflicted because he went from being a servant to her family to being a wealthy he's the big catch of the season now. So I'm going to read that to see how it goes. And I hope that many of you who have listened to this long will read some of those books and give me some feedback on what you thought of it. And hopefully you'll read along with me on some of the other books that I am reading. And if you have any suggestions, any books that you've been reading while you've been on this stay-at-home lockdown, please feel free to share them because I'm always looking for recommendations of books. And I don't just read YA, I read all kinds. Those of you who've tuned into our face-to-face book club, you've seen it. So definitely put those recommendations out there. And I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, like I said. Hopefully we'll all be back together soon. I miss it at the library. I miss seeing our patrons. Have a good day and have a good Friday. Bye.